We've got matching mugs. Get on our fucking level.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome to Saving People, Queering Things, the supernatural podcast where we really wish Ben Stiller was a hunter.
Would have made things so much easier.
Yeah, more effective, I think, than the hunters in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Throwing a little shade here. Today, we are pulling up to, if you hadn't guessed, Season 6, Episode 14, Mannequin 3, The Reckoning. I am your host, August. My pronouns are they, them.
I'm Sam. My pronouns are she, they.
And I'm Noah. Pronouns he, him. I really do think that, okay, we might get into this later, but Dean's hunter skills were pretty on point when he immediately walked into the room and was like, oh, look at this mannequin doll right here. Let's mess with that for a minute. He knew.
I don't think that was hunter skills, though. That was just Dean being Dean and wanting to play with things.
I can believe what I need to believe.
No, but I think that is one of, I think it can be both. It can be both. This is not the last time that Dean's going to walk into a room, see like a figure and be like, go into like child mode, and it actually ends up being helpful. He's going to do that again in like
fair. That's true.
8 seasons from now in an episode that I'm thinking about. That's a really also, well, this is not a good epispisode. That episode is a better episode with a premise kind of similar-ish of like a figure is haunted. This one is not okay. This one is like a good episode mixed up with a bad episode. A little jarring.
Wait, which episode was the bad part? You don't like the mannequin shit?
I think the mannequin shit is so stupid.
It's so stupid, but it's so funny and honestly terrifying. Like
that's fair. That's
I
fair.
hated
And
a lot of it.
That's fair. That actually leads me right into my like question for both of you, which is what mannequin related moment from a movie or a show has scared you the most or currently scares you the most? Because it's a trope. It exists.
Absolutely.
It is in a lot of media.
In my opinion, I really liked the way that they did it in Will Smith's I Am Legend. Whenever he's going up against the, vampire zombies. They're technically vampires, but they call them zombies, whatever. And there's that one scene where the vampire guys lay a trap for him using his mannequin friends that he's established his like routine with. And and so he has that moment where he's like, no. And just the concept that these vampire zombies could be that well thought out that they have noticed his patterns and would know what would get him to freak out. And very well done in that movie.
A good answer.
Yeah. I don't watch a lot of scary things. Supernatural is probably the scariest thing that I watch. And I also may be exposing myself a little here, but I will often skip past things in Supernatural. Like the deaths in Supernatural, I will skip past because they're going
to die.
It's too, I'm like, I know they're going to die. I don't really need to see it.
Okay.
At this point, we can give you a pass on that too, because you have seen it before at some point.
Yeah.
But did you watch it that time too, or did you skip past it?
No, I probably skipped it.
Don't tell me that.
Or turned away.
Better.
The music builds. You know what's going to happen. You never avert your eyes.
Okay.
But I will say I think the creepiest mannequin, like,
I know what you're going to say here.
And I saw this at first when I was like a young teenager, but it was in Doctor Who.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say this.
Oh God,
I knew you were going to say this.
This is like the first thing in my notes.
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm glad we're going to talk about this.
That I think that gave me nightmares for a while.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Especially because they start you out with it in episode 1 of the reboot in 2005.
It's the introduction that you have to most people have to Doctor Who these days.
Literally, the first thing in my notes is, oh, fuck no, this anatomy doll is moving. This is Rose meets Attack on Titan. Miss me with that shit. No, thank you.
Oh my God, I hadn't even thought of the fact that they look like the Attack on Titan. Yeah, that makes it worse.
Not great.
It's
not. A little terrifying.
Yeah.
In a good way, but still.
Yeah. The first thing that I thought of, and I don't know if it's the thing that has scared me the most, but the first thing I also thought of was that Doctor Who episode. Because I watched it when I wasn't that young, but we were really sheltered, so I hadn't watched a lot of scary things. Let's be real.
School.
Yeah, I think that initial scene in Doctor Who. Like, you're not expecting like this sort of intense, scary moment. And the concept of mannequins coming to life is something Doctor Who does a handful of times, and it's scary every single time. You're like, great. Yeah. I think the concept of like a physical object being taken over kind of soullessly is always a pretty scary prospect, and
also just like things that
shouldn't
we had
move
in real life.
Yeah.
And it looked like
it's
humans.
not like this fictional, like a vampire or a werewolf that isn't real. It's just a story.
Whoa. Now we're just throwing out
Sorry.
werewolves
our metaphysical
real?
Beliefs.
Whoa, okay.
Okay,
revealed on the podcast.
I think it was
like
Sam does not believe in vampires. How dare you?
It was very helpful for Doctor Who to bring it around full circle and have, spoiler alert, have Rory become an Auton at some point. Like,
yeah, that's one
really
of my favorite.
Humanize them a little bit and have him fight for his own humanity through that. That was really good.
Love that arc.
It brought it really full circle.
That's
from the beginning.
Really true. Well, that's going to bring us very nicely to our recaps. So it's time to catch you up. If you haven't watched Supernatural recently, here is what you've missed on the road so far. Noah, are you ready to recap the show to this point?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so ready. This is a good halfway point almost in the series. Yeah. So, there's not that much to catch you up on. It'll be fine.
No. Tell us about season 6 when you're ready.
Good.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Okay, so it's the two brothers, and you start out, they're just hunting ghosts and whatnot, but then it really quickly evolves into like figuring out Sam's demon blood, and then they like have to prevent the apocalypse, and then oops, they fucked up and they actually started the apocalypse, so now they have to figure out how to get rid of it. And then it all ends with Sam falling down into hell and sacrificing himself to save everybody, and then just kidding, he's been back this whole year and now he doesn't have a soul, and then they have to fight to get his soul back while they're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with their grandpa, who's also back from the dead and claims that he was in heaven. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I'm
right.
ending on that bit. There's not a fucking chance that Samuel is in heaven.
Yeah. No, not a chance. Not a chance in hell.
Nope.
There is a chance he was in hell.
A pretty decent chance, yeah.
All right, Sam, it is now your turn to recap this week's episode. Tell us about the Mannequin doll episode.
Okay.
When you're ready, I'll count you in.
I literally just watched this yesterday, but I'm trying to remember what happened.
Dude.
All I can think of is the mannequins.
And that's okay.
I mean, if that's all you talk about.
And Ben.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Okay, so the brothers are investigating these mannequins that come to life, are being possessed by a ghost, they think. And it's really creepy, and it gives us Night at the Museum vibes in a bad way. And then Ben calls Dean in a panic, and Sam is like, Dean, you need to go. And so Dean goes, and they have an emotional moment with him and Lisa and Ben. And then they go back and figure out the mannequins. And I'm out of time.
That's okay. It was good.
There we go. Got us caught up, and whatever we missed, we'll talk about in the episode.
Yeah, it was like the non-spoiler version.
I was trying to be non-spoilery, but I guess we don't need to do that.
Yeah. If you're listening to this and you haven't watched the episode, good on you.
If we're your only experience of Supernatural, I'd be very curious to know what you think of the show.
What if we have a guest on at some point who's never seen a single episode of the show, but listens to all of our episodes, and then they come on and they're like, okay, so I just want to talk. Like, let's chit chat.
If you exist, if you're listening and you've never seen Supernatural, but you somehow listen to our show, please send us a message somewhere on that platform.
Please.
We would love to talk to you.
And then
I was going to say we'd like to like open up your brain and like look at it, but that's
a little dark.
That's trying to scare them off.
Yeah, we want them to want to come on. And
we want to study you, but in a non-dissection way.
I feel like there's not a good way to say that. Except come on my podcast and let's chat. Like, that's as close as we can get.
Okay, let's move on. We are going to pick some music to accompany us on this journey through this episode. Sam, what do you have today for our episode mixtape?
I have an emotional song that was on one of my breakup playlists. And it gives me Lisa and Dean vibes. It's called Just 'Cause I Love You, and it's by Avery Anna.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's just talking about like just because I love you doesn't mean like we can be together, or doesn't mean like I don't know.
Okay,
It's sad.
okay.
It's sad.
It's sad, but it's about people still being in love, even though realizing that they're unhealthy for each other.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. My pick this week was At My Worst by John Harvey.
Ooh.
And it's about somewhat similar of a vibe. You know, you've seen me high, you've seen me low, you've seen me blacked out, passed out cold, heard all my sins, but you're still moving in. So it's sort of
that is
very much how Dean sees
like,
himself.
Also, that's literally what Dean did. Like, showed up and moved in with Lisa at the end of season 5.
Was, had a whole bunch of alcohol coping mechanisms that he used. And he's very much about how you'll still be there for me and I still love you, but maybe we're not the best for each other. So similar to Sam's song about not a really happy song, but there's still hope in this one a little bit.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of in the song I chose. That song, I think I there's a possibility I've used it before. It's on my Dean playlist for a reason. But I thought it really worked for this episode, and it's At Least I Have Nothing by Saint Motel.
Love Saint Motel.
It got a line that goes, like the chorus goes, "At least I have nothing to tie me down. Not even someone. I've got no family in this town." And kind of where Dean ends up by the end of this episode is just like, well, at least I have nothing. At least nothing's tying me down. At least if I've walked away, like at least I don't have that burden anymore. But in a super depressing way.
Oh, wow. We all really went for the heart with the song.
And not to derail us a little bit, but I looked back through our documents and I did see that there was an episode in season 2, What Is and What Should Never Be, where you did use that song. But I do think that tracks pretty well.
The other time Dean had a girlfriend that
and it's confirmation that
she wasn't real.
He's got mommy issues a little bit,
Yeah, a little.
Well, you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. This song being used for that.
Yeah, it fits. It works.
I'm not gonna say that at some point I'm gonna probably end up pulling this out for a Destiel related episode, but that's probably gonna happen. There's gonna be a pattern here when this song shows up.
It's gonna be a Dean in Love song.
We'll have a whole separate playlist that's just the Saint Motel references.
It's just this one very specific Saint Motel reference. Over and over.
I do have one of their songs on a list for Destiel stuff to happen at some point.
Ooh, I'm very curious to what song that is.
Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
No Destiel in this episode. That's the one thing this episode's missing.
Yeah.
Actually, it's missing a lot of things, but it's missing Destiel.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen Cass. I feel like we haven't seen Cass in a while.
It's been a while. And maybe that's because we haven't recorded in a while. But
yeah, we actually did see Cass fairly recently. We're just recording.
Like a virgin, I think.
Yeah. It's 2 episodes is too long.
Yeah. He should be in every episode kind of guy.
Yeah. Glad we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Now that we have our mixtape playing, it is time for this week's hunt. And today, as we said, we are pulling up to season 6, episode 14, Mannequin 3, The Reckoning, through the theme of awareness.
This is a really good theme for this episode.
Yeah. Which, speaking of awareness, what is the title a reference to? Why is it Mannequin 3, The Reckoning?
That's a good question. I always wondered about that.
I guess there were 3 mannequins that moved in this episode.
Okay, so thank you to the Supernatural Wiki for kind of answering this question, but the title is referring to the 1987 film Mannequin, which was about a mannequin that comes to life, falls in love, and it had a sequel. So then this is Mannequin 3.
Oh, that's funny.
That's what it's playing off of. It's kind of a deep cut in terms of a reference.
Okay.
Also, The Reckoning is probably a reference to the 2003 film called The Reckoning. So it's kind of a mashed together episode title.
Okay. I like that.
Probably why I never remember what this episode is about. I forgot that this is this Ben and Lisa episode, honestly.
Yeah.
I knew this storyline was coming, but I forgot which episode it was in.
So kind of a wild one.
I feel like it doesn't go well.
No, that's why I think this episode has a good and a bad episode in it. They shouldn't be in the same episode.
No, because it's like, okay, weird mannequins coming to life, kind of creepy and strange and whatever. And then you have this like really emotional moment with Lisa and Ben. And then you go back to mannequins.
It's a hard balance for sure.
Yeah. It just doesn't seem to flow very well. Emotions.
We did mention already that we got some Doctor Who vibes from this episode. And looking at the wiki now, it's a little wild that the episode where Autons are first introduced is called Rose. It's where Rose gets introduced, and the ghost in this episode's name is Rose. And then the guy that Lisa is dating is a doctor named Matt.
Yeah.
Which at this point, Matt Smith played the doctor.
That's weird.
Right. When this episode aired, Matt Smith is currently in his run as the doctor.
Wild.
It's like, this is a fun, I appreciate the folks at the Supernatural Wiki who like pull this kind of information, because I wouldn't have drawn that connection.
Yeah.
But
it makes so much sense now.
And they were both like, at this point, both Doctor Who and Supernatural were like really buzzing in the fandom world.
And they were both similar, like campy sci-fi type of shows.
I mean, Super Who for sure existed at this point. I don't know if we were quite at the Super Who lock
I want to say that was
phase of Tumblr.
2010.
But we were getting we were in the Super Who lock era.
Okay.
So
season 1 of Lock, but
yeah, so it's early on.
Hell yeah, damn. But anyway, that's us being aware of the influences on this episode. I do love whenever they start an episode out immediately after the last one ends, and they do that for this episode for a minute and a half, and then they're like, and now jump cut.
Yeah, like we just needed to cut. We could have put this scene in the last episode, but we decided to split it up,
cliffhang you a little bit.
I mean, to be fair, that kind of makes sense. It's right after Sam gets knocked out. It's a moment of like, oh shit, we are having an issue. Sam's wall is potentially breaking.
The vision of him, burning alive. I've seen that gif plenty of times on Tumblr. So that was good to see in real life. I also like that they're keeping with the, time rules of hell time distortion, where Sam was passed out for a couple of minutes, but it felt like a week. And when Dean was dead for a year, it was really 30 years. So like, I like that balance.
Yeah. And it's some good continuity. Sam is not fine despite what he says after this incident.
Definitely not. But he's reacting the same way that Dean did when he came back from hell, and Sam even calls him out on that. Like, really, you're gonna try and okay bud.
Yeah, and then Dean's advice is to quote unquote shove it down and let it come out in spurts of violence and alcoholism, which is a big yikes. Yeah.
Oh, huge yikes.
Like, Dean, did that end well for you in season 4? Like, was that good? I'm failing to remember where that was good, because that season ended with the biggest blowout fight Sam and Dean have had, and Lucifer getting raised. So like, not
positive.
We don't have a great track record with our coping skills.
No, and look at your fucking father. Did he have good coping mechanisms? No. Why are you copying the same ones he had? Please. It's ridiculous.
Before we go any further, sorry, I should have said this earlier, but just wanting to put a bit of a content warning on this episode for a few things. Conversations about mental health, substance use, violence, intimate partner conflict, no intimate partner like harm, but intimate partner like conflict. What else is in this episode? Just general mental health.
Yeah,
gonna be a really big topic, so listen with your own caution. As always, we will be trying to talk about these things with as much sensitivity as we are able to, while talking about the things that happen in this episode. Sorry, continue with your point you were making now.
I mentioned before that Dean immediately is drawn to the anatomy doll and starts to mess with it in a little bit, but he also pulls the heart out and asks Sam if he'd be his Valentine. And this episode aired 4 days after Valentine's Day originally, so they knew what they were doing there.
It's a fun moment.
Yeah, it's a good little goof of him just being a silly little guy messing with the anatomy doll.
And also just Dean again being this like super like kinesthetic learner. It's just like those little moments where he's gotta really immerse himself in an experience to solve the case. He's gotta like touch the physical thing. Yeah,
which I get. It's fine, we support.
What other thoughts do you two have on Sam and like how Sam is doing in this episode? Because I found Sam really interesting.
It was really good to watch this episode.
Sam's very self-aware. Like, if we're talking about awareness, I feel like Sam's quite aware in this episode.
It's really the fact that he has to push Dean to go deal with Lisa and like Ben in that whole situation. That really stuck out to me as him like, no, hey, we're trying to get back to a normal, but we can't be the same normal. We have to find a new normal normal because we've both been through a lot and we've both got to make efforts to adjust to that. And this is you and your big opportunity to do that. So please go do it.
I like that because he is really trying to push Dean towards more self-awareness.
Yeah. And acceptance, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think it's really, we've said this before, but it's really refreshing to have Sam back.
Yeah.
Because you won't realize how much Dean needs. Like, you realize how much Dean needs him, but you don't realize how much you like Dean's flaws really get amplified and his coping mechanisms get worse when he doesn't have Sam there to like say those things and push him.
Yeah.
And like vice versa as well. But like we've really seen Dean be very isolated and not have a lot of real conversations with people. And that immediately changes now that Sam is, because he can't bullshit Sam the way he can even bullshit sometimes Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby is too polite to push back all the time. He'll push back when it gets real tough. But if Dean's just having a rough weekend, Bobby won't push back the same way Sam would.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I also really appreciate having Sam back. And yeah, I agree that he seems like very self-aware in this episode and he is like really trying to deal with stuff. But I also kind of sensed him, I feel like there's a lot of sadness and in his self-awareness, there's still, I feel like some hesitancy to like truly deal with things.
There's
like
some
I feel like
avoidance.
he is holding back a little bit.
I think that's something Sam does a lot. I think Sam sometimes wants to present this front of like, I'm really self-aware. Like Sam we've seen Sam before be really like obsessed with the way he's being perceived by other people. Yeah. And so he wants to be perceived as being self-aware, and he is, but there's also still some like, he's like, I'm going to speak really openly about this so that you won't ask any further questions and you won't actually push me to like really deal with this.
Confront that bit.
Right. He's definitely still pushing stuff down.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just presenting this idea that he's not,
so
that everyone will stop questioning him. He's like, no, I'm going to turn the attention towards like, Dean, you need to deal with your issues. I'm dealing with mine.
Wink, wink. See how fine I am? I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like totally fine.
I do very much love, I'm as far as the Ben is Dean's son situation goes, I believe, in my opinion, that Dean has accepted Ben as his son and Ben accepts Ben accepts Dean as his dad. But I don't think that Dean was actually Ben's father, like biologically.
Right. You think it's one of those things where they've both kind of come to it now, but
yeah. He's a good old stepdad in the best way. But I do believe the Angels would have abused that situation if they could have. But
okay, that's you think okay.
Oh, that's an interesting take.
I'm with Jamie on that. They have a really good point that they stick to, where it's like if Zachariah had known that Ben had a kid, he would have definitely abused that to get advantage over Dean.
I mean, they did that with Adam. That's exactly what they did with Adam.
Yeah. So,
no, I think you're right.
There's no way they wouldn't have done it if Dean had a kid. There's no way they wouldn't have like taken that kid and been like, now say yes to Michael, or else like,
or we're gonna kill Ben. Like he would have said yes immediately.
Yeah, like is really like, would Dean have been able to hold up against that? Probably not.
I don't think so, but I do think it is adorable that Ben reaches out to Dean and is like, hey, something's wrong and I need help and you're the only person I can trust.
Yeah.
And Dean really wants to go, but he feels this kinship to Sam and feels like he can't leave him there, which, obviously, but Sam's an adult and Ben is a child who relies on you.
Avoiding it because he doesn't want to talk to Lisa, because also, the last time he shoved Ben because it was a whole vampire situation and Lisa was like, nope, we can't do this anymore. Like, this is not acceptable. And he's a little scared of engaging with that. He's like partly respecting her boundaries and partly just not willing to like have that conversation.
Which is fair. Yeah.
It's fair,
that's hard
but also
stuff to confront. But if Ben is pleading with you to do it, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
And also, I just want to say, like, Ben clearly knows Dean really well.
Yeah.
Because he goes immediately to the one thing that he thinks Ben won't be able to ignore, which is like, there's something weird going on with my mom. Like, he uses the very supernaturally sort of phrasing. Like, he says, something's weird, something's not right. Like, she won't come out of her room. I don't think she's okay. Which, like, if we think back to like the first time we met Ben, that was like a shapeshifter situation where like the shapeshifter like stole Ben, and then there was like a weird not Ben shapeshifter kid.
Yeah.
Like in his, like Ben's we forget sometimes, I think, that Ben like has actually interacted with the supernatural a fair amount.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 times at this
So
point.
it makes sense that he is able to be like, he's like, he knows that's a button that if he pushes, like he thinks Dean will cave.
Yeah.
He was right.
He was so close to right, but it has to. Sam is still needed to push him into actually doing it. You know, like, and that frustrates me a little bit.
Yeah,
but
Dean's also hardcore avoiding any awareness of this situation, like any true awareness of like the impact that him. Like, it's one thing for him to walk out of their lives because for him to like respect Lisa's boundary, but also like, oof, that's been hard. Clearly been hard on Ben, and we don't get any information about like what Lisa has told Ben about why Dean is like suddenly gone from their lives.
And that's a whole other situation, because you know that kids don't understand the nuances of adult relationships whenever stuff gets really complicated.
It's like 12.
Yeah, like it's completely different, and the way that Dean sits him down afterwards and is like,
boy,
hey, this is what's going on, and Ben hits him with so you hate my mom, and he's like, no. It's like, okay, so it's me, I'm the problem. And it's like, oh my god, no, Ben, please.
Which, like, and clearly you're so clearly Dean's kid, because
oh my god,
you're talking the way you're taught. Like, it's so like, this feels like the kind of conversation that Dean would have had with John, like the kind of vibe of this conversation, except that Dean is way more gentle.
So
you
gentle.
can see like Dean realizing that this is similar to conversations he had with his dad, and trying to do differently. You can see him trying to be like, Ben, this isn't your fault. Like, you know, I'm doing this because I want to protect you. Like, he's trying so hard to like do this gently for Ben, but also there's like no way to do it gently, because at the end of the day, he's basically saying, yeah, I'm going to leave you
again,
and like permanently.
Yeah, Dean's getting to step up and be the father figure that he always wanted his dad to be, and watching him realize that is heartbreaking.
Yeah, and watching him realize that in the moment that he's having to basically be like, I'm not going to be that anymore, because it doesn't feel safe. Because A, your mom doesn't want it, and B, I don't think
do that to you.
Well, and the phrasing he uses, he's like, the like person I am. What's the exact? I need to get the exact wording. I
don't remember the exact phrasing, but I have notes about
the type of guy it turns me into is something that can't be here.
And he like doesn't want Ben to turn into him.
Here we go. I think my job turns me into someone that can't sit at your dinner table, and this is the key. And if I stayed, you'd end up just like me.
But Ben's response with, why do you say it like you're so bad? So good.
Well, I think this is like so interesting, because it's kind of like taking you back to like Dean and his childhood, and having this maybe little glimpse of like maybe what Dean was like when he was that age, when like if he hadn't stayed in that life with John,
could he have been different or better, or
just like less traumatized? Like, is he gonna end up more like Ben?
You know, that's, I feel like Ben is kind of at this pivotal age that Dean was probably at, where
Dean was going on hunts by this age.
Like, exactly, and Dean was like, okay, you know, maybe he's thinking like, this is what happened with my dad and turned me into this person, and if I stay and be a dad to Ben, he's gonna do that too.
There will be no way to keep him out of hunting.
No,
you'll end up just like me. We have to
because he sees so much of himself in Ben that he's like, oh, I've seen this happen before.
And then Dean has a line that, okay, I know I haven't seen the end of the show, and I know I haven't seen the Winchesters, but then he has a line that says, because with me, there's just the one road.
I'm so glad you...
Okay.
Noah,
I've seen enough theories about the Winchesters and enough people ranting about it and enough of clips to know that line is important.
When I rewatched this, that line is like, so like in the context of this, like there's a lot happening. Hearing that line like felt like a jump scare. I was like, oh no. Oh no, this is not. There's just the one road. Like, oh
just
boy.
The one road.
This is season 6. Like, don't finale jump scare me like that.
Not okay. Okay.
I can't confirm or deny. I can't say anything else about the details of that. But yeah, that line hits real hard.
You might not confirm, but you can't deny.
I can't deny that line existing in this moment is really interesting. That Dean is saying it sort of of as this kind of like this prophecy about himself.
A little bit.
Like this is him being aware. Like this is him, or at least him thinking he's aware of his destiny.
And then being actually way more aware than he is even aware of.
Yeah. The meta is like through the roof here.
Crazy.
Also, big chosen family moment that comes right after that point, because Ben calls him a liar, which first off, also I just like love Ben so much.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of Ben in this episode.
Guts.
He just and like that also tells me a lot about their relationship in this past year, that like Ben really trusts Dean and feels safe with Dean, because he does not have any problem. He does not seem to have any fear in like speaking his mind to Dean. And I think that says a lot for the kind of relationship that they have, that like he's not scared of Dean.
No, and like the way that even just the way that Dean is talking to him, like Dean is not playing games. He's not treating him like a child. Like he's being very honest.
He tries to glaze it over, and then Ben's like, "Don't talk to me like I'm 6. Like, hey, I got this." And he's like, "Okay, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry." Even though the last time that Dean saw him, he shoved him against a wall, and Ben didn't talk about it even to his mom, like for a long time. Like that's some growth right there.
But clearly, the relationship that they have has not to say that moment wasn't scary or harmful to their relationship, but clearly that's not
the only thing he's focused on.
No, and it's not had the same impact on, it doesn't appear to have had the same impact on Ben that it did on Lisa.
Yeah.
Like for Lisa, it was like the straw that broke everything that kind of went.
That's a very firm boundary that she set, which is totally fair and valid.
Yeah. She's a parent. She's got to do those things for her kid.
For Ben,
like,
he can see the ambiguity in the,
Well, and he's a kid. Like you said, he doesn't fully understand the dynamics of like adult relationships. So he just knows that like there's this man who's basically become his father, who's there for a year and then now has been in and out and is effectively abandoning them. And that's all he can think about. And he like says, "Why won't you come home?" Like he's going home is with us.
Yeah.
He calls Dean a dick to his face, but says like, who loves you even when you're a dick? Like, you're walking out on your family, right? And Dean's fucking face. Oh like, my God.
No way. There's no way to hurt Dean more effectively than pointing him to like
his
family
trauma.
Yeah. And pointing him to family, which Dean has always said, like from season 1, Dean has always been like, family's the most important thing. Which is what Ben says. He's like, you say family's important, but what do you call people who care for you, who love you even when you're a dick? You're walking out on your family, right? And like, and then the scene ends.
Yeah,
and then the scene
I
ends,
like that so much because it leaves you
not like it.
hanging the way that Dean is hanging right there, where he's like, well, shit, I don't know.
Yeah, and he doesn't have anything to say to that either.
I want to believe that he
what
says,
do you say?
I really don't know. I'm sorry. I love you too. And then leaves. Like that's the only way I can envision that happening.
Right. That he doesn't have, he's not making a different decision based on what Ben said, but hopefully there's an acknowledgement of the fact that he's not making the ideal decision because there isn't one. Like Dean, like I think as much as like, I don't know, I feel complex about like Dean's choices with Ben at this point in the season. I also, the story has they've really set it up that he doesn't have any good choices when it comes to Ben.
Which then they almost immediately follow it up with montage, which I do love. I love montages. I'm a sucker for montage. But
really
this one grips your heart and pulls it out through the chest. And it's like, it's not just Ben and Lisa. I mean, it's not just Lisa and Dean, but it's Dean and Ben. It's
the family
together. It's them as a family unit. And it's really fucking cute. And this episode has been the closest to getting me to be on the side of Lisa and Dean are meant to be together as a family with Ben.
Which is the one, and that montage is taking place as Dean is driving away. Like that montage is clearly meant to be in his head of him driving away in the Impala, like from what is effectively a goodbye. The fact that this is the moment you felt most attached to the concept of this family is something.
It hurts.
They make it compelling.
Over, but it
does hurt.
Montages are good at that, They help you get in there and get to the nitty-gritty of what you feel about it. Which, okay, sorry. They do make use of montages twice in this episode. One of them, which is the really sad one and grips your emotions. The other one is a lot more lighthearted and friendly, with Sam interviewing all these people who worked at the factory.
Which is really fun.
I love when they do montages through interviews where where you like have them asking the same questions to different people, and that shit's always so good.
Yes. Yeah. Let's maybe that's a good point for us to sort of turn and talk about the other thing in this episode, which is the ghost kidney. Which is
such a fun concept.
I wish it wasn't in this episode because it's emotionally whiplash. It's like whiplash. Like you're like sad scene with Dean and Ben, and then like, oh no, she's got a ghost kidney. And
I kind of love that, and I think that's the only reason that Anthony Birch did it is so that he could haunt people after he dies, because he gave up his kidney, and Anthony Birch can go and haunt a lot of people. Okay, fine, no big deal. You're not a hero just because you donate a kidney, Anthony, but it's whatever. Just kidding. Everybody who donates a kidney is a hero.
Yes, we love a good organ donor on this podcast. Absolutely. Anyway.
I'm an organ donor, but you won't want my kidneys. My family has really bad kidney stones, apparently, except for me. So maybe you do want my kidney.
Maybe you're the strongest among them.
I think so.
You're the strongest kidney. I don't think that's how genetics works, but
okay. But I'm only an organ donor after death. So hunt me down, take me out, and then you can have them.
That's right. How organ donation works, for sure.
Unless you want to do a black market deal and give me a lot of money, and then I'm totally down with it.
When you're already dead?
No. Before, I'll give one of them, for a good price.
Noah's gone from you probably don't want my kidney to call me if you want my kidney in the span of 30 seconds.
On an online podcast. Here, going out to the public.
30 seconds.
Just hit me up.
30 seconds to get there.
As long as you got money, I'll do most anything.
Oh, capitalism sucks. Please don't sell your kidneys on the internet.
Unless your name is Noah.
PSA. This plot line. Okay.
Also, I think just the whiplash is bad in this episode, but when we go back to the mannequins and that plot line, Dean getting chased around by his car
again,
hilarious.
So funny and so funny.
Yeah, and the way he's like, "I'm sorry, baby," whenever he has to trick her into driving into a wall, and
Jensen commits. Jensen commits to the bit
every time.
Every time he has to do something just frankly insane.
Yeah,
because I mean, see, this is Supernatural. We're in the 6th season. They're having to come up with more creative ways to have ghosts do effectively the same thing. Because ultimately, this is just a ghost.
Yeah, it's just a possession.
We have to make it more interesting. So, what if it's haunting a mannequin? Ooh, what if it's haunting the car? Ooh, what if the piece of the person is actually a kidney?
It's so weird.
Gotta raise the stakes somehow.
I love it.
But the thing is about that is a little bit annoying is that they solved it so easily.
Yeah, they cop out.
Also, wouldn't the kidney still be alive?
Yes, they would need to salt and burn it. I had this question as well because I was
but I'm saying even when it's in in her sister, it's an alive kidney. It's not a dead kidney. So don't you need dead energy to become a ghost? I feel like once they transplant it from Rose into the sister, it's an alive kidney now.
No, but the thing is, genetic material can also be
yeah.
So I think it's the genetic material piece.
Okay.
But I do think there's still a problem because she dies, but then it's just a dead piece of genetic material. Whereas we've seen ghosts, haunting I think of that episode where a ghost haunted a doll that had a human hair. Yeah. And it was that doll had to be salted and burned.
Dead cells,
Yeah. So it feels like they to salt and burn a person that had just died. And so they were she's dead, it's good enough.
Yeah, they do really cop out right at the end there.
Especially
because Dean dives straight to the side of where the Impala hits. And then he's fine. Not a single fucking scratch on him. And then she gets this huge ass chunk of glass just right in her stomach.
And just from running up.
Standing nearby?
Also, it does not make sense that she would why would she have gotten out of the car?
No.
Is your sense of self-preservation? I don't know. It didn't feel like she had enough information to think of a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was just kind of scared and ran over there.
But why would you run over towards the danger if you were scared?
no sense. Makes no sense.
That's I think my beef with this episode's like plot. That's why I feel like it's kind of stupid. The actual like ghost kidney is that could have been really really
they could have made it like a real big dilemma. Problem. And
they do mention Dr. Robert whenever they're like, "Hey, is this an option?" Because like that's the guy who did the flatlining, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like,
so
that seems like it would have been way more interesting. They didn't have time though because they were doing the whole Ben Lisa thing for 25 minutes of the 40-minute episode.
They were like, well, she kind of needs that kidney. If she needed a transplant, then she probably needs that one.
Just need to give her a different one.
Yeah. So there could be like a last minute type of thing that they could do there.
And they could have still like if they needed for story reasons to still have it not end well, because the whole kind of thing is by the end of this episode they're like this sucks because
we're gonna have to kill her.
The best outcome is still like a bad outcome, but they probably could have gotten there with like a little bit less of a cop-out solution. Like they don't really make the choice.
Yeah,
they don't have to make a choice. Like it sucks and they get the result they need, but they're not responsible.
There's no moral quandary there that they actually deal with.
No, they have it for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, and they argue about it, but that's really it.
Then everything happens so quickly.
Yeah. Which of the 4 possessions was the most scary to y'all? There's the anatomy doll, the faceless mannequin, the sex doll, and the car.
The faceless one.
Yeah.
Really?
I think the first one is actually the scariest.
I think that's where I'm at too.
Because just like it looks more grotesque.
Yeah.
Because there's a face and all the like sinews and like muscles and stuff.
And the way the eyes bug out really gets to me. Okay. The faceless one is also valid.
More scary for you?
I don't know. Things without faces are just freaking out.
The inhumanity of it, while it's still pretty close to human.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I can respect that. The car is fine. Like that happens all the time.
The car is not scary. I just thought it was entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because at that point it's being played for comedy in the episode. Like, it could be scary if it was shot differently, but they shoot it to be like, oh, haha, now it's possessing the car.
Isn't it fun to watch Jensen run around a parking lot for a while?
And it also doesn't seem as dangerous, the car one.
No, because Jensen,
because that's not. Yeah.
You get behind a brick wall and it's game over.
Yeah, you're like, okay, so the car is going to get smashed up and Dean's going to be really mopey about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Which then they go back to Bobby's to fix the baby back up.
Yeah.
But we don't even see Bobby for a second.
They didn't bother to get
Jim Beaver.
No, they did not bother to get Jim Beaver.
Couldn't be bothered,
or a single scene or a phone call or anything. We do get a kind of a different visual shot of the scrapyard than we've really seen, which was kind of cool.
Hover moment kind of thing. It was good.
Either that we get a reminder that the scrapyard's actually quite large.
I would have loved to have seen Bobby give Dean some advice on his whole father situation as a surrogate father himself. Like that's right up his alley. That would have been perfect to see. But nope, they hate us.
Sorry, it's been a while since you've seen Bobby.
It's been so long. It's been like 4 episodes.
No, I'm sorry.
Minimum.
Sorry. You will see him again soon.
Oh, yeah, I very badly want to see him again soon. But I also know we're coming up on the time when I don't want to see him. So
what?
I don't know. I just know 5 seasons with him is very good. We're right in the sweet spot of Bobby content, and I'm nervous. Also, note to listeners, I wasn't scheduled to be on this episode, but then August said, oh, wait, I remember this episode has some really important stuff in it, so maybe you should be on this episode. So I spent the whole episode watching and waiting for Bobby to get hurt or to do something really
I was referring to
like,
at all.
Oh, dear God, please, no.
I
accidentally
stressed Noah out so much. When all I was referring to was the fact that there was Dean and Lisa and Ben, which I was like, but I totally did not think about the fact that you were going to be so stressed about Bobby. I'm never going to say that again without thinking about how
you can be like, there's important plot stuff in this episode, but then if you hit it with there's important stuff in this episode, then I'll know that it's like a character I really love is in danger. And I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. I normally I wouldn't warn you. Well, I normally I wouldn't say anything at all. I just let you experience it. It was only because you weren't going to be on this episode, but you're going to be on most episodes going forward. So
yeah, which will be fine. It'll be great.
Well, yeah,
you'll get plenty of Bobby appreciation coming up for the next few seasons. Season and a half. Don't worry about it.
I just have one last note about their like kind of ending conversation.
Yeah.
And something that Sam says, I was like, damn, what a depressing life. But he's just like, trying to reassure Dean, I guess. And he's like, well, we lose some, but hopefully we'll win more.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like the closing statement. And I was like, damn, that really is their lives.
Yeah.
But like rough.
Yeah. It's like hopefully,
it's a hard mentality to live with.
And it seems like it's wearing on them in a like post-apocalypse. It's wearing on them in a kind of a new way of like this episode, they literally leave some like assholes alive.
Some pieces of shit. I did have a note about that. It's, the classic, just some guys getting together and playing a super sadistic joke that caused psychological trauma and then accidentally killing the victim. Men are the worst.
Yeah.
Terrible.
That's really fucked up. Like,
they're like,
really,
this is just a joke, but it scars people. Like that type of shit is terrible.
And that kind of joke, like it doesn't usually end up with someone dead, but like
sometimes
those
it does.
Jokes often cause more harm than you like. The fact that what got me too is just like the lack of planning that had to go in, that goes into a quote unquote joke, like that. Like the lack of planning that goes into like psychologically terrorizing someone like that is not like, that's not an offhand cruel comment, which is also not okay. But that's like intense psychological torture, and that's like planned and premeditated and like over a period of time, like horrific.
And the fact that like these are like adults
and coworkers. This is like these are coworkers of this person,
people they see almost every day type of shit.
And she like, and this is just like a person. Like this is a person, just a person,
a harmless person who wasn't doing any hurt to anybody,
who is well loved by lots of people,
and
who is just like a kind human going through life.
These men perceived them as an outsider or a weird person,
or weak or whatever,
and
just the crime of not being like a
socially,
like not being able to, not like they are not
fitting their stereotypes,
sexualizing this woman. So because they're not getting something from this woman.
But I do think they were sexualizing her in a way, which is worse.
You should. Well, that's the thing is they're
your manipulation perception of that.
Well, and we're going to like use the fact that you aren't like the stereotype. You aren't like, to us, we aren't perceiving you as attractive. So we're going to use that as a weapon against you.
Yeah.
Which just means again we're centering you.
Which is just disgusting.
And we're only going to treat you, we're basically going to like stereotype you down and boil you down to like just this one thing in your life and this one perception of one part of your life. We're not going to like treat you. We're just going to dehumanize you entirely in every element. Even after she's dead, they're still dehumanizing her.
Yep.
Because they're still going, well, it was an accident. Well, we didn't mean to. Well, like,
it was just a joke.
It was funny.
Fuck off. No, it was not. It was not funny. It was not a joke. It was manipulative, cruel, and sadistic.
It makes this end of this episode really, really heavy because I think Sam and Dean both feel this like, did we we stopped a vengeful spirit that was hurting people, but
she was doing the right thing.
But and you can't leave a vengeful spirit because they won't be able to stop. Like eventually innocent people are going to get caught in the crossfire, and you want to put that spirit to rest, like, blah, 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 all those logistics.
But these guys were not innocent. They were far from it.
And they end up protecting them. And that's like, it's a bitter taste, I think, in their mouths. And it's, as a viewer, you're like, you start to feel the despair that they're feeling about like,
absolutely,
life. Like the whole we save lives argument is like it's kind of falling flat.
Yeah.
When these are the lives you're saving.
They really only saved the one though, right?
Yeah, I think that was the only one that was left.
4 guys, and then 3 of them die in this episode.
Yeah.
So she does kind of get some justice, but she accidentally kills her sister in the process. So like, okay, I guess not great. Not great.
Yeah. It's a really, really ends up being just like this huge tragedy. Like this huge avoidable tragedy. Like this is a tragedy because these men are the worst.
Yeah. It was gross. course.
Yeah. And it's kind of indicative of where we're at in this season. Like things are feeling heavy. Things are feeling like on the precipice of like real bad shit. Like Sam is upright, but like, is he okay? And Dean is like, yeah, we're gonna cope by like alcoholism and violence. And then they're not able to save good people. And you're like, this is
some coping.
Yeah. It's starting to feel quite hopeless.
Yeah. Last note I did have is the little smirk that Dean gives Ben whenever he and Lisa both say, go to your room. And Dean gives him that little like half smile for a second. Like, hey, I see you. I see what you're doing. And thank you. But also fuck off. It was really cute. And I did like that a lot.
It's really cute. That is a really cute moment. Another really like final cute moment is earlier in the episode when Ben is on the phone with Dean and like Dean says like 5 minutes, I'll call you back. And like Ben is okay with it. I think just like it also shows their relationship. He knows Ben's gonna call him back.
It's even better because Dean says, here, let me talk to somebody and I'll call you back. And Ben starts to object. And then Dean's like, no, 5 minutes. Like, I've made the promise and now I'm reaffirming the promise. And Ben's like, okay, you're right. I got you.
Yeah, earn that trust.
That's really cute.
It is. They have a lot of really cute moments and it breaks my heart.
Ben has also gotten so much older since the last time we saw him. Like,
yeah, even earlier this season, he feels older than...
Feels a lot older. Maybe it's the hair curl that he has going on. It's just a little like,
but
a little longer.
You know, we saw him 8 episodes ago or so properly.
Oof.
The vampire episode.
Damn.
Yeah.
And
he's also had to like grow up a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like, emotionally.
Yeah. The way he says, I watch TV. I know what the third date means.
Oh my gosh.
Baby.
Oof.
Baby. Such a middle schooler. Like,
yeah.
He's panicking. Also, you know, him calling and being like, it's an emergency. And it's just that Lisa's gone on 3 dates is like really cute.
Gone on 2 is planning on the 3rd.
Right. So it's like, whoa. We have to stop this.
Wait a second.
I also do love Dean saying, as if plants could ever kill a zombie. Like, come on. Because Dean has dealt with zombies before. And he knows how they die.
Like, come on.
And Ben probably is aware of some of that, you know?
But that also, like, Red is just like a very sweet, like, little moment of him engaging with like Ben's interest. Like, you know, it's a nice pop culture moment, and it's a cute little, like, you know, he's taking it seriously.
Because who hasn't played Plants vs. Zombies? Like, everybody's tried it at least once, right?
Yeah, and there's not a lot of pop culture in this episode, so it's a good pop culture moment.
They mentioned Snooki.
Oh, yes, that's true. They do mention Snooki, and they do mention Snooki. That's all I'm going to say about
Chucky.
that.
They mentioned Chucky.
Yeah, which again makes sense, you know.
Bat Boy. So dumb.
So dumb.
It was good. It was good. Oh, cattail.
Hi, Missy.
She really loves my mic being on my bed, and she tries to like
I can see him and
rub against it, and you're like, stop.
I can hear just a hint.
You have like the rustling.
Totally side note, but I saw this post on Twitter that reminds me of how my cat Taz purrs, because he's got like a broken purr where he like doesn't purr in like solid long purrs, but it's like
Aww.
up and down
like
all
a
over the place.
Purr.
Yeah, a little bit. And they were like, oh sweet, let me see. And they like move their phone mic really close to their cat, and they're like, oh, there's radiation around here. Like my little Geiger counter's going off. I was like, oh shit, that's how he goes. It's really funny.
So cute.
Okay, sorry.
I think that's about it. That's all we got.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we wrap things up today, that brings us to pretty much the end of our episode. Let's do some characters to watch / character blessings. Noah.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to go first.
Okay, Sam, go first.
It's fine. I will go first because I am gonna take Ben as a blessing.
Aw, you fucker.
Because I thought that both of you were gonna do Ben, and so now I get to go first, and so I'm gonna do Ben. Ben goes through the shit this episode, and I'm so proud of him for handling it as well as he did. And I'm so curious to see where he goes from here, because I do enjoy Ben as a character, and I want to see more growth from him and Dean's relationship in particular. And I've got a lot of emotion for that character relationship. You know, the Terry Jr. / Ron Stampler type of relationship. And and I can support that to the best of my ability. Can you tell that I've been catching up on Dungeons and Daddies before the season 2 finale comes out pretty soon? It's whatever.
Nice. Oh, good blessing. Sam?
I think I'm gonna take Dean. Yeah, rough for him. I'm hoping that he can actually confront some of his emotions and not bottle them up, which,
who knows?
Maybe high hopes, but
we support it.
One can hope.
Yeah.
One can hope. He's got Sam back to at least push him in that direction.
Yeah.
For now.
For now, Noah.
Who knows? You can't confirm or deny.
I can do nothing.
Sure.
I'm gonna kind of dually bless Isabel and Rose, the sisters in this episode. I don't know, as a person who has really strong, like, we didn't really talk about this in the episode, but as a person who has like really strong relationships with my siblings, and like, I mean, Sam is here.
What?
Like, we have a really, really strong relationship. Like, I can understand the emotion of that. I feel like it maybe didn't come up because I also like, it feels like almost too strong to like talk about on a podcast when we're being a little bit comedic.
Then we're just gonna cry a lot. But
like that, that experience is horrible and awful, and both of them end up dead by the end of the episode, which is just like so tragic. But like, you just feel for these like people who just, I think their love for each other is really beautiful, and their like commitment to take care of each other was really beautiful, and the way they expressed that like through their whole lives was really beautiful, and I wanted to like recognize the importance of that relationship.
Snaps to that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that.
Side note, before we end the episode, would you give a kidney to your sibling on this call if they needed it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, mine are kind of wrecked.
No offense to you, but like, I think you should keep them.
Yeah,
I don't want to take them. I'm not taking a kidney from someone. Like, not because your kidney's not good, but mostly because like
everything else is bad.
I think you need to keep all
They're
of the
struggling enough as it is.
Yeah. I don't know if I would definitely give it up, willing. But I don't know if I would be allowed to. I feel like the doctors would be like, actually,
okay, follow up.
Healthy enough for that.
If you gave your kidney to the sibling and then sadly passed away yourself, would you haunt around that sibling to protect them like Rose did?
Yeah.
I mean, hands down, right? Like, absolutely.
Of course. Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
The problem is that I have 6 siblings.
Yeah.
And so I only have one kidney I can give up before I die myself.
Yeah. It doesn't really work for us either because there are...
we have 2 other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also like step siblings. So like, it just gets...
It's complicated.
Yeah.
Complicated. There's too many people.
Can I give you a rib or a...
Yeah. What else? What else can I give you?
Ribs being a great... The rib's not an organ.
What's non-essential?
Of yourself.
It's non-essential. You can have my...
Gallbladder.
I thought of too.
You have my appendix.
Okay, yeah.
You can have my spleen. Actually, I don't know enough about biology to keep listing organs.
You don't want my liver. It's fine. Anyways, shout out to all of our siblings. We would absolutely die for you and haunt you to protect you. We love you all.
Well, that's going to bring us to the end of this episode. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Sam, as always.
Of course, this was a fun episode.
It was good.
And thank you all to those of you who are listening. We're really glad you're here.
Yeah.
And surprised.
Yeah. You're here. This is a strange episode. Thanks for sticking it out with us. And you can let us know any of your own thoughts about this episode on any of our social media. Yeah. If you're not subscribed, you can subscribe to the show. That would mean a ton to us. You can rate and review the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Give us feedback. We crave it deeply.
Yes.
We need yes. Right. Yes. If you want to talk to us, you can talk to us on any social media platform and also on our Discord server. And you can find the links to all of that on our website, which is queeringthingspodcast.com.
Also out now, we've got Queering People Saving Throws, our main Queering Things crew, along with KJ of Supernatural Opinions. We take a little dive into a queer D&D adventure, and it releases every other Friday here on our feed. And let me tell you, shit has been popping off over there because this group has been so much fun to play with, and I'm so excited as we come.
It's such a good time.
Closer
it is so much
to
fun.
The end of this first arc, this first storyline.
Yeah.
Stuff has been really great, and I'm I'm very anxious for everybody to see the strings behind it all.
Yeah.
We're getting close.
Yeah.
It's going to be very good.
There's monsters. There's gay people. There's gay monsters.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. Yep.
It's wonderfully chaotic and it's super fun.
It's so much fun.
If you like D&D or if you
like us.
listening to us. And if neither of those things is the case, I'm not sure why you're here, but thank you. Anyway, if you hate listening to us, if you hate listening to us, please tell us. That would be wonderful. I would love that. That would be fun.
Tell us and then stop listening. What are you doing? Like,
no, don't tell the people not to hate listen to us.
That's fine, but okay, if you're hate listening, let me know.
I don't know. That feels like that would feel like a badge of honor if someone's like hates us enough to hate listen.
Also, that I feel like that's more of a them problem.
It's definitely more of a them problem.
Yeah, I don't know what there's nothing to hate about us.
We've got matching mugs. Get on our fucking level.
Yeah. We do. They're beautiful. Shout out to Elena for the design and Jamie and Beth for the sending us all the mugs.
Icons. A lot of them.
Wait, what? It's not in my color.
No, you're right. It's me. Right.
I know.
I took your color, and that was my problem, and I threw off the rest of it.
I know. Let me try again. Before we get more derailed, you can be very sure to ride along with us next week. I can't.
Oh shit!
Reading this, no one needs to read this because I didn't write this, and it's not my way of talking.
I didn't write this either.
Be absolutely sure to ride along with us next week. It will prove to be one for the ages, as we've got almost all of our guests to help us explore Season 6, Episode 15, The French Mistake, through the theme of knowledge.
It's the Giant Pod Squad episode. So
this one's gonna be fucking crazy.
If you liked changing channels when we had like 10 people on to talk about the episode from all of your favorite shows
of changing channels, then maybe you didn't love it, but maybe you did because it was a challenge.
And maybe if you were the editor, you volunteered,
signed up,
and willingly said, we can do this again next season, and is now complaining about it on the podcast.
No, I'm cutting this part.
You're going to cut all the parts where I talk about it? You're just going to leave and you're complaining?
No, I'll do the opposite. No, honestly, this next episode is going to be so much fun, and I cannot wait for everybody to join us right there alongside.
Yeah. And it's French Mistake. It's like, such a good episode.
Good. So it's going to be really good.
We've got a new not format like it's permanent, but we're going to do something a little different for this episode. We'll have a little bonus episode with the three of us where we talk about what we got from this episode, so that we don't detract from the marvelous splendor of the huge Pod Squad episode. Yeah. And we also get some important plot beats out of the way. You know?
So you're getting 2 episodes next week.
2 episodes in a week.
Yeah.
Party Central.
Really just because we have so much to say.
Yeah.
So much to say. French Mistake, man. I cannot believe we're here.
There's a lot to say.
I'm excited. This is like
I'm excited.
The best episode. Probably one of the 2 best episodes in season 6.
Oh shit. Yeah. What's the second best? Have we gotten there yet?
No, we have not gotten there yet. Okay. I'm not going to tell you till the end of the season.
Oh, okay. Like the end of the season, like it's the finale, or
I'm not going to tell you till the end of the season which one it is.
Oh, okay.
I'm not
Tune
saying
in
it's
for
the
our
finale.
Awards episode this season, because then you'll definitely figure it out. 7 weeks or something like that. Yeah.
7, 8 weeks.
We got some time.
It'll be fun.
Anyway, take us home, Sam.
Thank you all for coming along with us for the ride, and we wish you a peaceful road until we meet again.